is just fantastic.
Captain's Log, Subject 210330.4. With the ISO cubes now getting into a form of rhythm, I've decided to randomize the cell searches and drug tests. We are not, however, testing for drugs. No. We are subjecting certain inmates to drug tests, mostly for the bants. Welcome to the Halls of Injustice. Today we have inmate number 066, aka Daniel Davies, from Swansea, Wales. Inmate 066 has a track record for certain types of crimes. Many might say that they have been exacerbated because of 2020 and 2021's sheeple crowd control, but as these crimes predate sheeple crowd control and the Coronavirus Act, it is safe to say it is unlikely this exacerbated anything. So inmate 066 has a rich history of committing the following crimes: domestic assault, harassment, and breaching of restraining orders. Now that is relevant for later. Each of these, by the way, carry a jail term. He has been arrested multiple times. He has done time. He is quite weak and cowardly. You have to be if you hit a woman. You have to be if you think you're above the law, which is evident when you breached restraining orders. Plural on those, by the way. He has a history of toxic, controlling, bullying, and abusive behavior. And it is this same behavior that has landed inmate 066 in that ISO queue. Over the period of Christmas 2020, lockdowns had just been reintroduced. Wales itself was in a very strict lockdown. Daniel Davies and his then partner had been having a series of arguments. This, by the way, will later on fit in with his control freak MO. These arguments were quite volatile, and on December 28th, inmate 066 took this and crossed over a line that then passed into the realm of criminal. During an argument with his then partner, who we're going to call Jane Doe, inmate 066 decided to be big brave and start throwing things at Jane Doe, more notable of which was a mug, which did hit her. The mug broke, and inmate 066 grabbed the largest piece of it that he could use as a weapon, like a shard of glass. With this rather sharp shard, he cut a rather nasty gash into the neck of Jane Doe, hence crossing line. That sounds like ABH, doesn't it? It also sounds like attempted murder to me, and we all know what my sentence for that is. Jane Doe then managed to obtain the phone, but inmate 066 was fast, in the very small space of their home, and they tussled, wrestled. She was after all trying to call the police, and last thing he wants is a grass. Jane Doe then fled the property, but inmate 066 followed. When he finally caught up to her, he shoved her into a wall, but not long after, the police did catch up with him, and he was arrested. So let's see, we have fingerprints on the shard that he used to cut her neck, her own statement, the fact she did call the police. Yeah, no doubt they would have heard all of that. This is quite damning evidence for Mr. Davies. Sorry, inmate 066. Obviously, because the evidence was hardly in his favour, inmate 066 did admit to a charge of assault occasioning ABH. No doubt that was the best chance the police had of sending him to prison. I maintain attempted murder. My judges are far more efficient at this. It would have been a simple case. The judge arrives, obtains the evidence, and then sentences you to life on Titan. We do not tolerate domestic abusers, no matter their gender. When this went to trial, his team, his defense, had a fantastic excuse for his behavior, something which I'm sure all of you will totally not roll your eyes at. He has mental health issues, because that's unique, and learning difficulties. At some point in his life, I'm sure he was told, it is never okay to hit a woman. No one has a learning difficulty with that principle. It is a terrible excuse. It is a terrible scapegoat. In fact, by using it, you make a mockery of those who actually have learning difficulties. I'm less inclined to believe this man, air quotes around that word, has a learning difficulty, and more inclined to believe he's simply stupid. The prosecution took the tact of basically telling us everything I've already said so far, retelling the series of events, and also conceding the relationship was toxic. I forgot to include this earlier. Jane Doe went to hospital and received stitches for the wound on her neck. So what does the judge say about all of this? Judge Paul Thomas QC says that inmate 066's behaviour towards partners was concerning, as all his previous convictions concerned his partners, and it was clear from his record, and from the contents of a pre-sentence report, and from the facts of the case that he was a man who represents a real risk to any woman unlucky enough to be in a relationship with him. The pre-sentence report indicated that he was a manipulative person, something which I can wholeheartedly agree with if he's managed to convince this many women to date him for him to then end up getting convicted for what he does to them. And he has to be manipulative and obsessive if he breaches a restraining order. As inmate 066 did in fact plead guilty, he was obviously found guilty. With this comes a sentence. So for the guilty plea of assault occasioning actual bodily harm, Judge Paul Thomas QC gave the sentence of 36 weeks in prison, with a 1/4 discount for the guilty plea. Half of the remaining sentence will be served in custody before he is then released on license to serve the remainder within the community. He is also subject to a restraining order, banning him from contacting the victim, Jane Doe, for the next 3 years. I took the liberty of obtaining the sentencing guidelines for actual bodily harm with assault occasioning, and it is actually the most severe sentence one can give for this crime. My view is, he cut the neck, the left side. There's something there that made it bleed a lot. Can you name it? It starts with carotid and ends with artery. My view is attempted murder. Much simpler. This way, there is a permanent restraining order and a whole wad of empty space between you, because he'll be on Titan. He'll be spending his time in his isocube and doing some good old-fashioned diggy hole on Titan. Yes. But I can fully understand and respect why they went with assault occasioning ABH. My view, though, is he used a weapon and he cut her bad enough it's attempted. But I could be wrong. With this, I'd like to know what you all think. So please do let me know in the comments down below. As a final thing, inmate 066, don't breach this restraining order. It is a waste of my time, my energy, shrinking you down, shoving you in a quantum torpedo, without the quantum charge of course, and firing you at Titan. So don't break the restraining order. Anyway, I hope you'll have a fantastic day. Thank you all very much for listening.